Today I'm talking with Evie, who is actually a podcast returner. So Evie, is what's new with you?
Probably the same thing that's new with everybody is, we're out here dodging COVID one day at a time and trying to stay healthy and trying to, make sure that we don't inadvertently affect somebody else. And, we've been training our youth goalkeepers at Tennessee Soccer Club, but with huge, social distancing. I mean, the rule, I guess, is 6 feet. We make sure the kids are staying 10 to 20 feet away, and we're just trying to get through it and sort of looking at the other, there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel now with vaccines and stuff, and we're kind of hoping that once that all takes place, that we can sort of hit the ground running and not really pick up where we left off, but sort of pick up where we left off and keep going.
What are some of the drills or almost practice themes that can be done completely distanced?
Well, it's a good question because I think sometimes as goalkeeper coaches we tend to work on the you know the technical stuff, and so a lot of times you're very close to each other when you're dealing with sort of knock a ball from six yards away, catch it, toss it to somebody, get ready for the next ball, play to feet, all that stuff. Really and truly what COVID has made us do, which I think is advantageous, is it's made us kind of spread out, because sometimes as goalkeeper coaches we get too caught up in the minutia, and by that I mean the small aspects of goalkeeping, when goalkeeping is performed, as you know, on a big field in a big penalty area with a big goal behind you. So COVID has kind of helped us in that we've made our training go a little bit bigger, which is a little bit better when you translate it over to the game, which is obviously what training is to prepare you for a match.
I think this year we are all missing convention in person. What are you going to do to make up for this year, next year?
You know what? We go to the, as you know, I work a little bit with Reusch International and Reusch USA, which is a distributor for Reusch International, and we always go to the convention and have a booth. And it's great to see people, like yourselves, people that just stop by and say hello. So I think in the future we'll pretty much, we might have a little bit of a bigger booth, just because you miss a year, you want to sort of come back and really tout your wares and show people what you got, and just the excitement of being able to, I think, be together again in a convention setting. I've kind of been following track with via Twitter with what everybody's saying, and of course everybody misses being together. I mean, it's one thing to be together like we are now on virtually, but it's another thing to to shake hands and give hugs and see people that you only see maybe once a year or twice a year, and one of those times is at the convention. So we're looking forward to getting back onto the ground, similar to what we just talked about with goalkeeper training, is kind of hit the ground and pick up where we left off.
Why does Reusch choose to invest in United Soccer Coaches Convention and go to the convention?
I think the coaches convention is and it has always been this way, it is an opportunity for people to get together that have a unique common bond, which is soccer. And so Royce has always, we've always wanted to be part of that. We're a goalkeeper company, so obviously a very important part of any team is the goalkeeper. Goalkeepers are unique. Goalkeepers have unique needs and equipment and necessities, and we fill that part of the market. And I think it's always good to to go to a place like the coaches convention and show your wares. And so for that, because of that, we support United Soccer Coaches. We didn't do a virtual booth this year simply because we just thought, I don't know, it just wasn't, it's not quite the same. You can show a video and you can kind of pan around what your gloves are, what your clothing is and all that, but it's just not quite the same as being able to feel it and touch it and try a pair of gloves on, that kind of thing.
Mhm. Yeah, this year is definitely not the same. We do have virtual booths, but people don't always log on. I think there's a fear of like embarrassment or just meeting someone new and like logging onto an unknown Zoom call.
Yeah, and there's that, I think. And the other thing too is, at the exhibit hall, it's kind of like, just a lot of people just when they take a break between sessions or coaching sessions, they like to walk around, they like to stroll around, and it's kind of like browsing. They see things that maybe they didn't think of, that they would need or see during the convention, but it kind of a light bulb goes off, and hey, let's go over there and look at whatever it is. Let's go over there and look at, Duke, or let's go over there and look at Reusch, or let's go over there and look at, I never thought I needed a notebook to write down things because I thought I could keep it all in my head, but come to think of it, if I write it down, maybe I learn it better, that kind of stuff. So you just, you just, by being there, it gives you an opportunity as a business to be seen by more eyeballs. And of course, if you're seen by more eyeballs, then theoretically your business will grow.
Yeah, my first year of convention, I got bamboo shin guards. I'd never heard of those before, but
Right.
I saw them. I was like, those are cool.
Yeah. 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 And that's stuff that you see that you just wouldn't, go into the field. Even if you go to the field every day, it never goes off in your brain. Hey, you know what? I wish I had a pair of bamboo shin guards. You would never even think of that. So I think that's one of the great things about being at the convention in person, with a booth.
I had read earlier that Sports Recruiting USA, they have a GK ID camp that is sponsored by Reusch. How important is it that Reusch gives back to the game?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, particularly, it's interesting, you're always growing something, you're never satisfied with what you have. If you're a farmer, every year grow new crops. That's how you make your money, so we're constantly trying to grow the game. And when I say we, I'm talking about everybody involved in soccer. And so for Reusch USA, it's very important that we keep helping as much as we can, and obviously the goal of every goalkeeper is to play as much as possible at whatever level they choose to play at. So by being involved with SRUSA, it helps us kind of help them, right? And it helps them help the goalkeepers. Well, if that's what we're all doing, then it's well worth the effort.
How can people be involved in the goalkeeper camp, ID camp, and involved in taking the next steps forward?
Well, I think goalkeeping, when you're looking to take the next forward, as you say, in goalkeeping at whatever age you are, whatever level you are, it requires a little bit of research on your own. I can remember distinctly, we had a Tennessee Soccer Club fireside chat with Adelaide Gay back in, I think it was, I don't know, almost a year ago now. And one of the things she said was, it hit me right between the eyes, and she said, and we've all said this as goalkeeper coaches, and we all know this as goalkeepers, there's one position for you, right? There's one goalkeeper, right? So there's usually on a team, maybe 2 or 3, or in college, maybe 4 goalkeepers competing for that one position. But, as she said, you're not everybody's cup of tea. Different coaches have different ideas of what they want for a goalkeeper. So, you really have to do a lot of research and figure out, where do I fit in? Where do I have a chance? And I think these ID camps, I think that's a perfect opportunity for you. Is yes. And you know what? Sometimes doing your research costs a little bit of money, and it's, you have to make the determination as a goalkeeper, is that money well spent? In my estimation, any opportunity for you to be seen in strictly a goalkeeping environment, okay, is going to help you. Okay. Now you may go to a goalkeeper ID camp and not play as well as you usually do. Okay. Well, you know what? That's going to help you, because it's going to help you realize, what, maybe, figure out what I didn't do quite right to give myself the best opportunity to show. And then at the next one, correct those steps. So I think, like Adelaide says, you're not everyone's cup of tea, but you have to find the place that you're going to fit in. And in order to do that, you have to get out there and sort of, put yourself out there and try all these different vehicles for finding the ultimate place where you're going to wind up, whatever level it is. If you're going to be going from high school to college to pros, it requires some research, and you have to put the time in off the field just as much as you have to put the time in on the field.
What should a goalkeeper do if they're maybe not a fit in a club environment or a high school environment?
If they're not a fit, you mean, okay, so, I think what you do, and this happens to everybody, again, you have to find a place where you can play. Does that mean you go to a club that's not as big? Does that mean you've researched, like I said before, a place that you can play, and maybe they're not very good, and everybody's like, well, no one will see me. Well, you and I've talked about this before on podcasts. Goalkeeping is a very small society. Everybody knows everybody, right? So, if there's a kid that's playing on a bad club team, but he puts somebody's name on his resume or her resume, goalkeeper coaches are going to call each other and talk goalkeeping, and so that's going to help. Regardless of what you're doing, the more games you can play, that's going to help you. Okay, because people are going to see you. And even if you're playing on a bad team, well, that's what you want as a goalkeeper when you're developing. You want to be on the worst team possible, so every game you're getting shelled, because you're learning from that. You're learning from that experience. And yeah, sure, you may lose 5-0, but you know what? You stop 30 shots. You can't go wrong with that. That's better than any kind of training that anybody can do for you. If we go to your house and live with you and train you 5 hours a day, it's not the same as playing in a game. So, in answer to your question, that was sort of a long answer, but, you've got to research and find the place where you can get games. Okay. And the exposure and all that stuff. Yes, you're going to kind of be responsible for that on your own. But believe me, your reputation, if you do things right, your reputation will spread amongst goalkeeper coaches, and that will help you ultimately get placed where you want to get placed.
I will let you know before we wrap up that I have not had Bushy on the podcast yet, so you can brag that you've been on 2 times before him.
Yes. Good. I don't think you should ever have Bushy on the podcast. No, I'm just a joke. He and I are very close, and we love each other, this is a running needle that we have with each other. So now, obviously when I get off the podcast, I'll call Bushy and say, hey man, I'm 2 for 2 with Anna. How many have you been on?
A little subtle brag.
Yeah, that's right.
So I have one final question. What is one thing you are most looking forward to for next year's convention?
That's easy. Seeing everybody, being able to give people hugs, being able to shake hands, and tell, conventions are storytelling times. You go, everybody has a story to tell, and really, I guess the bottom line is just visiting with people, just seeing people again and visiting with them briefly, because it only lasts a certain amount of time, but that's what it's all about going. And again, virtually is great. It's like the old saying, winning's great. There's only one thing, or losing's great. There's only one thing better. Right. And so virtually going to the convention is great. There's only one thing better, and that's personally going to the convention.
Thank you so much for joining me for this short little episode today.
Anna, thank you for having me. Good luck with everything, and I can't wait to see you. Are you going to be at Stan's camp this summer?
Yep. Hopefully.
Okay, unless my knee falls off, I will be there as well. So I'll see you up there. But until then, all the best of luck to you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, talk to you later.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.